Today on CityCast Nashville, we're talking with Representative Aftyn Behn. She didn't win her race against Republican Matt Van Epps, but pulling in 45% of the vote in a deep red district has her feeling hopeful about what's next. We're having a gloves-off conversation about weathering the campaign media storm, building a base for the future, and will she run again in 2026? It's Friday, December 5th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. First question, do you hate country music?
Clearly not, because I wore a nudie suit. Big shout out to Smack Vintage, which supplied an authentic nudie suit that I wore for election night and walked on stage to singing 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton, which I do every election. So I think the rumors can now be squelched officially.
Well, I heard another rumor that actually that suit belonged to Tanya Tucker. Is that true, or is that just fake news?
The lore is deep. The lore is deep with all of these outfits. So I'm sure someone famous wore it, but shout out to Smack Vintage, Rob over there that voted for me and also allowed me to borrow the suit. I'm just really grateful. But it was very funny. There's a segment on Fox News that I watched. Apparently it was like a national reporter that came down to cover the race. And the segment started capturing both election night watch parties. And he said, and then Aftyn Behn showed up wearing a country music rhinestone suit singing Dolly Parton and kind of like smirked at the end.
Well, then one we have to put to rest. Do you still hate pedal taverns?
I don't like riding behind them.
I don't like being on them. I don't like getting stuck behind them. It's just not my thing.
I think what I've been shocked most about this, to be fair, when the Fox News apparatus started promulgating this narrative that I hate my city, it really hurt. Like I was pretty devastated just because I love this place. I love my community. I love my constituents. I would never want them to think anything else otherwise. I mean, it was so intense. And what I would like to point out is officially I've won, 4 or 5 races in Davidson County. I think they were shocked at the numbers. And it's like, well, and now they go back, their side goes back to hating Nashville now. So good riddance, but I love my city. I was so grateful to run for this race. I'm very thankful for the turnout in Davidson County.
And we just want to just say here on CityCast Nashville, we believe that you were just saying what we all think.
And, in a moment of turbulence and despair and upset. And unlike a lot of people that complain about the city, I decided to run for office to make it better.
How many miles did you get to put on your Jeep during your campaign?
A lot, actually. I haven't looked at it. But the Jeep was so, I loved... There's nothing more I love than driving. And I love driving the Jeep out into rural communities. And it was such a conversation starter. I'd be at a gas station out in Cheatham County and, some guy would come up to me, ask me what year the Jeep was. And it was impressed that it was a standard. And then I'd say, oh, by the way, I'm running for Congress. And so shout out to all Jeep owners. And I know the transit folks listening to this, but I love my Jeep Wrangler. And we had a great time on the campaign trail.
Well, our biggest question today is, was it worth it?
It was really hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Running for office in this race. Running for this race was the hardest thing I've done in my life. And I was sick, having the entire Republican communications apparatus breathing down my neck every day for 3 or 4 weeks was pretty unbearable. The barrage of violent death threats to my legislative account, social media accounts, mostly by men. It was not fun. However, I was so honored. It's the honor of a lifetime to run for this seat and to represent Tennessee on the national stage. And it comes from a deep place of feeling like I needed to step up and serve my country and serve my state and my community in the best way that I know how. Definitively, this was a mobilization race. And so, there's a lot of always, it doesn't matter about it could be this election, it could be another election. There is always a perennial debate as to was the candidate the right person? And that's what I'm seeing right now. And so definitively, I was the right person because this district is incredibly gerrymandered. You have to mobilize as many people as possible on your side, of which I was the Democratic state rep with the highest total voter turnout of any state representative in the 24 cycle. Like that is my bread and butter, right? I had a lot of experience in the district organizing and building the bench and building the infrastructure that we leveraged for this race, right? And I think also there's some feedback as to should this race have been nationalized. We live in a world in which every special election at the congressional level will forever be nationalized. And we didn't nationalize it. What happened, the Republicans did a poll. They showed it was closer than they wanted. And then they started ramping up. They started spending millions of dollars. That's when they brought in President Trump to do the teletown hall. And so they were the ones that nationalized it. And then we had to respond because we had to raise the money necessary to compete. So I do think I was the right candidate. I mean, the fact that we expanded the electorate with young people, disaffected Democrats that hadn't voted in 2 previous elections. There were Trump Behn voters. I mean, we did build the coalition. It's just these districts are made to be uncompetitive. And so, thank you so much to everyone who followed along, who knocked doors, who supported. I think a barometer of success for every campaign is how many new people had never knocked a door before, knocked a door on your campaign, how many young people were inspired in a way that makes them think that they want to pursue politics and be very much invested in our democracy. And how much money did you force the opposition to spend, which we did a lot. So for me, it was a really successful campaign. I know we fell short, but these districts are not made to be competitive. I mean, that is the whole point of them, this great experiment we call American gerrymandering. We'll see if I decide to run again next year, but deeply grateful for the opportunity and for all the support across the state and country.
You've been an organizer in our state for a decade. How did that history help you in approaching this campaign?
This will be, as Senator Oliver said in her Threads post, this is the untold story of this race. It's taken 10 years for this seat to be even considered competitive. And it's a testament to not only the grassroots organizing and infrastructure that we have spent years building, right, to get to a place where not only our campaign knocked 70,000 doors, but the groups like Equity Alliance and Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition, Turk Votes, knocked tens of thousands of doors. And not only that, but the county parties, which pulled their weight and then some, in addition to the Tennessee State Democratic Party, which was a wonderful collaborator in this moment. And I wanted to highlight that because there's so many people that showed up in big and small ways. And it is such a testament to what is possible when we are not fighting, but working together and collaboratively and acting in good faith. And so I hope it's a model moving forward for this state that we can all work together. Are we going to have quarrels? Yes. But I look at it as like, we are in this together. We are co-struggling, co-conspiring together. And I wanted to highlight and surface that this has been a decade of work, a body of work that we are now leveraging. And I can't wait to see what comes next.
Well, like you mentioned, you spoke to thousands of people. You were canvassing, knocking on doors. What were the conversations like in those deep red areas? And what were you hearing the most? What were their biggest concerns?
I'll start with an anecdote that really touched me, maybe not positively, but just it surfaced the tension I feel in terms of the nuance of politics. There was a Black female veteran that attended a healthcare town hall that Representative Ronnie Glenn held in Clarksville. And it was the day after the government shutdown ended. And she works in the Social Security office in Clarksville, had gone 2.5 pay periods without pay. And she burst into tears. And she said, I understand what the Democrats are trying to do, and it's noble in terms of negotiating and leveraging, whatever capital they have to ensure the continuation of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. But she said, why do I have to trade my pain for someone else's pain? And it hit me because it's emblematic of how people feel about government right now. Most people don't want to think about government. They want government working for them. They want to see their sidewalks paved, the support's coming. And it really just captured this moment in time that Washington is so broken. I think it's fair to say that both parties can be responsible for that in some way. So it highlighted the nuance I think that folks are feeling right now in politics, and that they really want a government that works for them and not one that they have to think about all the time. More importantly, there are now Trump Behn voters out there. So that is a badge of honor that I wear, because I doggedly in this campaign said, I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what political party you are. We welcome you with open arms. And I think it's a testament to this moment in time as a country, as a state, that as our democratic institutions are crumbling, as we are trying to sort past the corruption and cost of what is going on, that we are all in this together. And if you are on the side of democracy, due diligence, and improving this country for the long haul, then welcome to our coalition. And I hope that resonated. I think it resonated with a lot of voters.
Well, let's get into some superlatives. Who were your most valuable players?
I want to thank the influencers out there. Oh my gosh, so many people. I mean, I'm so overwhelmed at the amount of support and so many people stepped up in big ways. Like I said, the county parties, the state party. I want to shout out Stephanie, who's on Threads, who made this race her entire personality. Matt Anderson with Bless This Mess, The Holler, Monty Mater. I mean, the whole influencing sphere. I mean, you all showed up and showed out, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I mean, all the volunteers. There were so many precinct captains that spent hours, double-digit hours every week launching canvases. I want to thank my team, my campaign manager, Kate Briefs, who's held it down for 3 years of me running. I'm so effusive. There's not enough gratitude that I have. Like, everyone, well, not everyone. Most people stepped up in big ways, and I'm just so thankful, and I'll never forget it. And, gratitude is a memory of the heart, and I will never forget how this city and how all of these individuals and groups stepped up in such a big way for this race.
And you had a lot of big name surrogates like AOC and Al Gore. Who wins Miss Congeniality?
Miss Congeniality. Oh, I love that. I'd have to say maybe my deputy campaign manager, Anna Derrick. For those of you that weren't able to meet her, she is a former teacher. She actually quit her job to work on this campaign from Dixon County. And she was such a ray of sunshine throughout the campaign. Oh my gosh, it reminded me of me 10 years ago when I was not jaded about Tennessee politics. But she definitely gets the Miss Congeniality Award. The surrogates, I mean, just an incredible amount of attention dedicated to this race and across the political spectrum. I think that's what was really inspiring, to see someone like Al Gore on the same run of show as Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And that was really inspiring. I was deeply inspired by that town hall and what we're trying to do in Tennessee. And people see it. And I think being seen is one of the greatest gifts that you can receive.
Before we hopped on, you said gloves are off. So I would like to ask, what happened with the whole Vice President Kamala Harris thing? Was it strategic to skip the photo op with her?
I've never had a schedule like I did on this congressional race, and I was booked 30-minute increments, and it ended up not being, our scheduling didn't work out. It conflicted, which was such a bummer. But I was, seeing the faces and the aftermath of the photos of these TSU and FISC students just elated. There was just so much joy. And I think a lot of folks, most importantly, throughout this campaign, I heard that people felt hope again. And for me, that is the greatest gift to give. I was so grateful that all the national attention was focused on Tennessee, because it hasn't felt that way for quite some time. And for people to understand and to recognize the oppressive terrain in which we organize, it made me feel very seen and very heard.
And throughout, it seemed like you kept a pretty great sense of humor, even though you were being berated by so many people across the world. What was your favorite insult during the campaign, and how were you able to stay on message instead of reacting to it? One of my friends even texted me like, oh my gosh, if you're going to talk to her, please ask her, how did she handle all those people being so mean?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I had a moment where I just burst into tears at a canvas, because it was, I've never felt that in my life. And as I was going through it, the tension, in my mind, I thought, like, I realized this is me kind of pulling up my big girl pants in this moment, and I got to get through it. The only way is through. And now that I've been able to kind of build the resilience and the muscle to compartmentalize, I feel a lot better. But just the onslaught and the barrage was a lot. And, I think it's important to show vulnerability on the campaign trail. You're not a perfect, things aren't perfect all the time. My favorite insult was, I saw it yesterday, which was Aftyn Behn is the dollar store AOC.
Oh, that's good. Oh my God.
I laughed for like 20 minutes. Now that I'm in a place where I can laugh about it. What's happening right now is the far right is upset that we're proud of the work that we accomplished. And so that's been really, I thought they'd just kind of disappear into the void, taking the win with them, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So I'm also seeing a lot of folks in Nashville from the Republican side looking around and being like, hey, we need to work on our early voting game. We need to start knocking doors. Like, this lethargy is not going to be sustainable. And so the fact that that is a takeaway, I think, is a win in itself.
You spent a lot of time on TV and being interviewed by everyone and their mom. What did you learn about the news media during that process?
It's so fractured. And voters, and this is on either side. This is endemic, I think, to just where across media industries, you might have Democratic voters that listen to certain podcasts, but those voters don't have cable, right? So you are trying to access as many spheres of influence as possible and weighing at the same time, prioritizing how much of that contact is for fundraising and how much of that is for contacting voters, right? And so, for example, a lot of, there might be pundits that critique the decision for us to bring Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but this race was one about mobilization, right? And so she had an entire list of people in Tennessee that she, messaged and contacted to turn out. And I learned a lot about staying on message and, when I can kind of be a little more nuanced, especially with podcasts. But this race, the message was always about, and is always will and perennially be about affordability. And I think that was conveyed at least through most of the interviews.
Do you think all the outside pundits understood Tennessee?
I think what I felt in previous years is this disdain for our state, that you get what you voted for. And I think this race surfaced on a national level the residual impact of American gerrymandering. I mean, the visceral violence of gerrymandering and how it's not helpful for any party in power, to be honest. So I think it was helpful. This was an excellent case study in American gerrymandering to highlight the overreach of our Republican supermajority in creating these districts to dilute Black voting power, right? And everyone is so impressed as to the fight we put up. I mean, across the country. I know there's some criticisms, Tennessee, you let us down. But everyone in Tennessee is proud of what we've done. Like, it was a tough fight. They brought in President Trump twice on a teletown hall. They brought in the Speaker of the House, who set up camp in Tennessee for 3 or 4 days. They had major heavy hitters. Kid Rock recorded a video with my opponent. So this was not a normal election anyway, and I'm so proud of the fight. And I think folks across the country realize just how, like I said on election night, that the South has something to say and that the South is a place that has to be invested in because we are fighters.
What do you think would have happened if there'd been one more week magically inserted between the end of early voting and election day? How would you have spent that week?
There was a poll that came out early on saying that we were 2 points behind, which I absolutely believe that was the case during early vote. The problem was the Republicans had the same exact numbers, and they increased their spending over Thanksgiving when everyone was watching TV. So, we were outspent. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, our campaign outraised him, but we were outspent on the dark money side. And so I don't know, another week, I would have loved to have gone down to the southern counties in the district. Unfortunately, because all of the Democratic voters are mostly consolidated in a few counties, I had to double down up here. But if I had another week, I would have probably done, taken my Jeep and brought my sleeping bag and had gone down to the southern part of the district, including Wayne County, which has, put up such a fight. And for your listeners, we moved every county in the district from presidential numbers, which was incredible. So there is something to be proud of. Once again, I know we didn't win, but sometimes, as anyone who's been in Tennessee politics knows, sometimes the win, it's planting seeds that you may and may not see grow.
Did you ever meet Matt Van Epps?
Before the primary, yes. I actually Kate and I went to a mostly Republican picnic in Cunningham, Tennessee. It was the Lone Oak picnic. And I decided to go. And so I was, kissing babies, politicking. And I ended up walking up to him, shaking his hand and say, "Nice to meet you." And, he's a constituent of mine, actually. He lives in Germantown. Yeah. And honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about him at all. Like, I appreciate his service. It's just the people behind him that are not, And on election night, I called him, conceded, and it was really a cordial conversation. But I asked him, I said, listen, like, the one thing that was said to me again and again is voters in this district want the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act to remain. Like, will you commit to doing that? And he's like, well, I'll take a look at it. I'm like, okay. It's important. Like, you always want to be organizing. You always want to be pressuring, your elected officials, which I get, it comes with the office. But yeah, he's a good guy. It's just the puppet masters behind him.
Were there any policies or issues on which you and he see eye to eye? And is there anything you hope he will act on right now that he's won the seat?
I mean, he didn't have any policy position, so I don't. Yeah. One thing the Tennessee Valley Authority is in the fight for its life right now, and it is a really important agency in the 7th District because there's a lot of good union-paying jobs, like blue-collar workers in the district that are on TVA projects, and a lot of retirees that benefit from the TVA pension system. I would like to see him come out in opposition to TVA privatization, but I've also heard that the people behind him want to privatize the Tennessee Valley Authority to make a ton of money. So if I decide to run again, that's going to be a core issue in my campaign.
And you said yourself, a big dynamic in this race was hope. What are you feeling most hopeful about right now?
Oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere without people coming up to me and just hugging me and saying, "We're so proud of you," which makes me a little teary-eyed. I mean, it's hard to see that when you're in the thick of it, and every day your schedule is, 16-hour, 30-minute increment days. You have Fox News with a ticker about you and your entire family for hours on end. Just the outpouring of support and folks who recognize the fight that we put into this race, I think makes me really hopeful for what comes next. And just, I need to go through the numbers because they haven't allowed me on the back end of the campaign, but the new volunteers who, I remember when Ken Martin came down to launch the canvas, there were probably 150 people there. And I said, how many of you have never knocked a door before? It was like 75% of them. So to come off your couch, to come off Instagram and to show up, to knock doors in a really grueling, cold Nashville winter is such an impressive feat. And it gives me so much hope that I'm not alone, that we're those of us that have been doing this for a while and those even longer, that we're not alone, and that I'm so invested in building the next generation of leaders to take over and train them up to be the best organizers they can be. So for me, I woke up today, yesterday I was on the couch all day and did not do anything. But today I woke up and was so excited thinking about all of the new people that have come into my world and that I can help train to take over, to help me build power.
And how do you think that power building might translate into next year's midterms, specifically the Tennessee 5th District, where Representative Andy Ogles is already feeling the pressure from both sides?
Yeah, I'm interested. The internecine fighting with the Republican Party is not something to overlook, and it's playing out in that primary where they put forth a pretty formidable institutional candidate, and it'll be interesting if Charlie Hatcher beats Representative Ogles and then faces, whoever candidate wins the Democratic primary. But the only opportunities in this congressional map right now are in the South, and that's because of demographic shifts. And so Tennessee has now, our fight has now put Tennessee back on the national map, which unlocks resources for CD5. and hopefully, more investment for the long haul, because that's what we need.
If people at home are feeling disappointed, what's one thing they can do today to get involved, even though we're not in an election cycle anymore?
What comes next? The Tennessee State Legislature. So I'm thinking about all those folks that showed up during our campaign. How do we provide political education as to how to get involved in advocacy at the Tennessee Legislature? So that's what I'm going to be focused on the next few weeks. Your eyes are going to be opened. Like, you're going to be looking around and realizing that things are not what they seem, but there is a group of people that will invest in you and will help you engage in the advocacy you want and do the organizing you want. So I think for me, it's a testament to the fact that we're not alone. No one's coming to save us, right? No one's coming to save us from what's happening, but there is a cavalry of us that there's more than there's ever been. And for me, that is a really, really inspiring place to be.
And Aftyn, have you eaten and are you drinking water?
Yes, I did eat today. Good. I did not on the campaign trail. My campaign team was always trying to put food in front of me. But yeah, I just, for those listening, I think, I really appreciate the grace because, especially in parts of Nashville where I haven't organized, I really disdain transactional politics. I really hate it. For me, it's about building relationships, showing up again and again, doing deep community work together. And unfortunately, with the truncated timeline in this race, it just wasn't possible. And so I'm grateful for so many of you that gave me a lot of space and support, and I'll be coming back, right? I'll be coming back, and we'll continue, focus on continuing to build those relationships that were started in this campaign. But so many folks gave me so much grace, and I'm really grateful for it, because I had pneumonia. I mean, it was really rough. November was really rough. So I'm finally now just this past week coming out of it, and so I'm just really thankful for all the support and words of encouragement.
Okay, so when's your 2026 campaign kickoff?
I got to get through the next few days.
Gotta just heal from pneumonia real quick. But
Yeah. And just, we're engaged in debrief, really thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, what could be better. I am a state legislator, so I've got to figure out what bills I'm going to file so I can organize around them. But this is a moment, I think, I've been thinking about what I want to prioritize in the next few months, and it's investing in young people, building up their skill sets, creating a ladder of engagement for anyone who is involved in this campaign to engage in the Tennessee legislature, because we need them, and then preparing them to run for office and or run campaigns next fall for 2026. And that is, I wake up every day and think, what type of ancestor do I want to be? And it's really not about me at all. It's about the legacy that we're leaving this state and the people involved in it. And so it's not whatever I do in life, but the barometer of success for me is how many mentees I have that have, run for office or will be in politics in the next 20 years.
But you're not ruling it out?
Not yet. I gotta get my voice back and rest a little bit. But I've just been so inspired by everyone else, and so I'm grateful that this campaign was a vehicle in which so many Tennesseans and across this country felt hope again for the first time. And for me, that's a win.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Nashville neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!